Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. Today we're going to take you into one of the Battleship's small arms lockers that we haven't showed you before. This one is just forward of the wardroom. We're in the base of the conning tower here, and this entrance also serves as access to the female head, which is just forward here for any guests of the wardroom. So the forward side is the female head. The after side here is one of the ship's many armories. So let's go in and check it out. Battleship New Jersey has multiple small arms lockers. Small arms are the things that you think of when you think of handheld weapons. Handguns, rifles, shotguns, those sorts of things. As opposed to great guns, which would be the various types of artillery mounted around the ship, such as the 16-inch guns, the 5-inch guns, so on and so forth. So, the battleship has a number of lockers for these around the ship for different groups of sailors. So obviously the Marines have a couple of places where they store their small arms. There's an armory specifically where they would draw most of them. There are some office spaces that have safes where they could issue arms from. And then the sailors have a number of spaces, including the Master-at-Arms office and a couple around the wardroom, which is where one of the ship's quick reaction forces would muster. So, I guess the first thing I need to address is all of the alcohol that's in here right now. Small Arms Locker is an easy to lock up, secure space, so the battleship nowadays uses it as a liquor locker for all the alcohol for our events. Battleship New Jersey is the largest bar in the state of New Jersey. In the state of New Jersey, a liquor license applies to your entire property, and an Iowa-class battleship happens to be the size of a 90-story office building. So our liquor license, which we use for events, applies to the entire vessel, making us the largest bar in the state. So, if you are interested in having an event on the ship, we do all sorts of events, from military ceremonies like re-enlistments and retirements, through to weddings, corporate events, board meetings, birthday parties, like you name it. We're dropping a link in the description below if you would like to contact us about hosting one of those. And of course, it doesn't have to be a dry event, even though this is a former Navy ship. Another thing to point out, the battleship has an official rum. So Pine Tavern Distillery, which is one of our partners in the area, makes this rum, and you can buy it at the link below if you want it. I promise it is not Bilgewater flavored. So, back to the actual point of the video. This exterior area, this vestibule area, is a workshop where you can clean and work on all of the various types of small arms on the ship. So you notice that there's a workbench over here. You notice there are some safes. This would have probably been, let's see, it looks like handgun safes to me. I bet your 1911s or M9s, depending on the year, would have been stored in there. And then as we come through, we've got another space here, which is kind of large. I wouldn't be surprised if there were ammunition shelves or something like that in here. And finally, there's a third space back here with an additional lock on it. And this space is interesting because the sign says Recreational Guns. So what does Recreational Guns mean? Well, certainly there were occasions when they would use the ship's own small arms to shoot with. Sometimes the ammunition is going to expire or going to be replaced with new stuff, so you just go out and shoot. Sometimes it's training evolutions and you shoot off the fantail. But using the ship's guns recreationally is different from recreational guns. What I believe this is referring to is personal firearms. So let's say you're on the crew of the ship. You're going to go out on a 3-month deployment. Would you leave your personal hunting shotgun at home in your apartment? Maybe you live off base, but nobody's going to be there for 3 months? No, that's not safe. Somebody breaks in, takes it, you won't even know for months what's happened. So it is pretty common when sailors go on deployment for them to bring their personal firearms, even large knives, things like that, that you don't want to leave at home. It's not uncommon for them to bring those with them. Now, obviously, you can't just keep it in your locker and go and grab it whenever you want. And any sort of conflicts on the ship, everybody has a firearm. So there is a specific space on the ship where you can log these in, and just basically they're locked in there. Probably only the Master-at-Arms has the key to this one. Notice it's a separate lock. We already had to go through a lock to get in here. So out here where all the workshops are, and they're doing stuff with the ship's own guns. And there's a separate lock on this one so that nobody can touch the crew's personal weapons. And there probably wouldn't be too many occasions to draw these until the ship gets back home and you take it back to your personal gun safe at home. And one cool thing before we go in there, check out the work here with the non-skid. Somebody cut out the cross revolvers on the deck. So let's see what's inside here. So this space is interesting. I should mention, because of the liquor stored in here and me not really being involved with events, this is a new space for me. Now, it's an interesting space because we've got rifle racks around here that look like they're for a traditional military rifle. Stock rests here, there's a rubber pad, and then the muzzle gets clipped in up here. But there are also some larger brackets for a shorter, broader muzzled weapon. And that looks like maybe a 40mm grenade launcher, like an M79 or an M203, or some other non-standard sized weapon. And that's not the sort of thing that civilians can own, or even off-duty military personnel. So I'm not quite sure, and it's certainly not recreational. You're not recreationally lobbing grenades off of the fantail. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. I have been told that the crew bought a bunch of paintball guns with the ship's Recreation and Morale Fund, and that officers and enlisted folks, when the ship was in port in Long Beach, would draw the paintball guns, and officers would fight enlisted, things like that. And maybe paintball guns having a larger diameter in the air cylinder and all would be stored here, but that this isn't where the welfare and morale and sporting equipment is stored. So I'm not entirely sure what's with some of these brackets. Now you will notice that there's room in here for maybe approaching 100 firearms between the various shelves that you can't really see too well because of all the stuff piled in here. But you know, in America, gun ownership is a pretty common thing with a crew of 2,000 guys. I guess it shouldn't be surprising that this many private firearms could be brought on the ship and stored while the ship is underway. There are a couple of signs in here, safety precautions for the M14 rifle, which this ship would have never been issued except as a line throwing gun, and coincidentally, safety precautions for line throwing guns. So potentially those bigger brackets could be for that, but there isn't really enough room for an M14 line throwing gun. It doesn't seem like. Maybe over here. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the deal is, or why things that you would need for pretty frequently for underway replenishment would be stored with recreational guns. So that might just be a vestige of a previous outfitting of this space, and by the late 80s it was for personal firearms. Who knows? Hopefully we got some former crew down there that can that are gun owners and can tell us what kind of guns were in here, or gunners' mates who would have maintained this space. So let us know in the comments section down below. But if you are familiar with this space, it's a new one to me. I'm literally just walking in here today for the first time and looking at the signs that are here to try and recreate what it was. So if you know for sure, let us know in the comments section down below. Also let us know if you're a gun owner and what sort of firearms you have. I've got a couple of 1911s myself. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. You can support the museum through the link down below to donate, or by holding an event on board, or by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about the museum. Thanks for watching.